I'm Phil Cardoso, an associate professor and dairy specialist here at the University of Illinois.
And I'm Derek Nolan, a assistant teaching professor and dairy extension specialist here at the University of Illinois.
Okay, last week was able to visit Bonard's Dairy Farm, and that's one way that we are doing different this year, the Dairy Tech Tour, just to try to avoid a lot of farmers traveling and concentrating in one place. This year we decided to do it as in an online version, so we went there, Dr. Nolan and myself, to chat with the Bonards and try to learn about their operation. And it seems like they had a fire happening a couple of years ago, so they had to build a new barn. So at the end, we were able to see a brand new heifer barn and a brand new kind of ventilated transition cow barn. So what were your general impressions, Derek?
I thought both facilities were excellent. I think Scott did his due diligence and toured a lot of dairies to find out what works best for him, and it was kind of neat to hear how he talked about that, especially with that transition cow barn. But overall, I think really two very, very nice facilities that really meet the demands of both those groups of animals.
Yeah, and I think he mentioned something about not having to have as many fans in the wall by putting some of the fans in the middle of the barn. I felt that was kind of a neat idea to make sure, wind is circulating that barn. I think he mentioned he's still to see some of the electrical bills because fans are going to be running 24/7, right? To make sure there is a continuous flow of air in that barn.
But yeah, we were there on it was in the mid 90s or low 90s that day, and as soon as you stepped into that transition cow barn, you could feel the airflow, and there's a pretty significant drop in temperature by just making sure air was flowing through that barn the way it should.
Yeah, and at this moment he has his dry cows in that barn as well as the close-up cows in there. And so then transiting to the heifer barn, that was not tunnel ventilated, but it had some good ventilation. It was a tall barn where he had pretty much from weaning to breeding, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And one of the things that he mentioned was that by perhaps moving to that barn with better comfort, that he was able to have heifers calving 3 weeks before than he used to. Do you remember him saying that?
Yeah, he was really pleased with the average daily gain, the increase in average daily gain that really he equated to, because not much, if I remember right, any of his other management changed. So just the comfort that those animals had in that facility, they were able to grow better, and by increasing that average daily gain throughout the whole heifer raising process, was able to decrease his days at first calving.
Yeah, one thing that he was looking for too was he's still looking forward to building a new milking facility, so a new milk parlor. That's where when that happens, then we're going to have the opportunity to see that in person, those 3 new facilities. But Derek, I remember you mentioning something about economical decisions, and then maybe even though we like to invest in the milking parlor, that perhaps the return on investment when he did those 2 barns that he has now, that would be even better, perhaps, to do it, or it was the correct way to do it before the milking parlor.
Yeah, I think we get caught up a lot because we spend most of our time in the milking parlor, so we want that when we think about facility design and in implementing new facilities, that's the first one we think about, and often the first one on the list for many producers. But I think a lot of us are guilty of it, that maybe heifers and dry cows are kind of on the backside of our mind where, yeah, if we can update those facilities too, or even beforehand, we see a faster return on investment there.
No, that's yeah, that's very well said. I think that the barns also that he built, the bedding material is something that he is used to, that he has some of the corn stalks, and so to be able to maintain that clean. Some of the things that also he mentioned about the his feeding strategies. I know that he likes to have go over 50% or of the corn silage, or try to have, you know, enough corn silage where he kind of can use it while he's harvesting the new corn silage. He's using hay. He doesn't have any haylage. He's using a lot of sack semen as well in their animals, and using some Charolais cattle as beef. So I think that's the interesting part for, you know, his operation, and maybe making sure he's profitable in all ends. I felt that was pretty good.
Yeah. I guess, what about you, Phil? Did you have any other major takeaways from our visit with Scott?
I think that the new barns brought him more a sense of I'm not sure belonging, but at least that things got better organized, especially for the new generation. I think that's something we were able to hear him saying several times. It's very good to hear that when a new generation is ready to uptake the business, and now decisions are made not for the next year, but they're made for the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, just the way he talked about, you know, financing things and how that would all play out. Yeah, great point. Thinking about how it's not only going to impact me, but impact the future of the farm as well.
Good. Well, I think that sums up our chat about our visit. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I hope to see everybody in person next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.